This is Fieldsports Channel News. Will we be able to shoot pigeons next month? In the run-up to the renewal of general licences on the 29th of February 2020, bird rights group Wild Justice is unleashing its lawyers on the governments in both England and Wales. It has written to Natural Resources Wales to let them know that Welsh general licences are unlawful. It is also sending legal letters to Natural England. Neither government department has responded. Last week, Natural England angered antis by reintroducing the lethal controls of herring gulls and lesser black-backed gulls in England via an individual licence that you have to apply for. Basque is responding to the legal attack.
Basque will fight this tooth and nail. There's no justification for this. Wild Justice are attacking the countryside at a very time when government agencies are stretched to the limit trying to deliver a future for food, farming and the environment in a post-Brexit transition period. It's absolutely ridiculous. We're going to fight this. We're going to fight any attack on shooting and we're going to get this job done.
A report has recommended that the number of deer in Scotland should be cut sharply. As we predicted, a review into the management of Scotland's deer said Highland populations should not exceed 10 per square kilometre. This amounts to a halving of the population in some areas. The Deer Working Group also calls for the abolition of closed seasons for males and reduction for females, a removal of the ban on night sights being used to hunt deer, and a relaxation of the restrictions in place around night shooting. The Association of Deer Management Groups says the proposals would have a devastating effect on an important rural industry. The chairman of the Scottish Gamekeepers Association, Alex Hogg, reflects members' anger in a video he released.
These men and women have managed deer selectively for decades. And if they get asked to take part in some state-sponsored slaughter up the glens, I think they would rather go to jail.
Motorists and members of the public are at risk from an unsafe shooting range, according to a newspaper. Truckers at a roadside cafe on the M25 outside London heard bullets whizzing over their heads as novice marksmen practiced target shooting at the Full Metal Jacket Club in Waltham Abbey, less than 300 metres away. Prosecutors at Wood Green Crown Court say inexperienced and unsupervised club users were firing 2-2 rimfires at a bank that was not high enough, with stony patches that could cause the bullets to ricochet. Daniel Hammond and Kevin Foster deny firearms offences. The trial continues. Thanks to Steve Kearney and Andy McGarty for the story. 2 men accused of offences under the Hunting Act 2004 have been found not guilty at Taunton Magistrates Court. Charges against Quantock Staghounds former huntsman Richard Down and whipper-in Martin Watts were dropped after evidence provided by antis failed to show illegal hunting. The Countryside Alliance is urging the police and CPS to review allegations made by activists against the rural community. The Country Food Trust's winter appeal smashed its target. The charity was set up 4 years ago to provide balanced and nutritious meals to some of the 8.4 million people currently living in food poverty in the UK. It produces pheasant-based meals in a pouch which can be stored for up to a year without chilling and has delivered more than 500,000 meals to charities across the UK. The Trust raised £114,000 for families in need. And we have more on this story later in the programme. The Country File live event to be held at Castle Howard this summer has been cancelled due to a lack of sponsorship. It was held at the stately home in North Yorkshire for the first time last year and attracted around 50,000 visitors. The show, described as representing the best of British countryside, failed to attract enough exhibitors or sponsors to get the go-ahead in 2020. The Southern Show in Windsor will still go ahead. Mark Avery's been taking aim at the BBC's Farming Today programme for talking about game meat. The Wild Justice patron slammed the broadcaster for covering Sophie Bagley's Yorkshire-based game meat business. The entrepreneur is successfully placing her locally shopped produce in supermarkets across the country. But Avery says the game meat could contain lead shot and poses a health risk, so it should not be promoted by a public service broadcaster. Meanwhile, the BBC's been up to its old tricks of trying to monster hunting and shooting. In its coverage of the coronavirus outbreak in China, BBC journalists sensibly make the point that the kind of bushmeat available in outdoor markets in China may have helped cause or spread the deadly virus. However, in this report sent in by viewer Caroline Scott, they try to link coronavirus with all wild game, which is healthy and sustainable.
The 2 big drivers are deforestation and the wildlife trade. Deforestation because we build roads into forests where wildlife live and they carry viruses that then get into people and spread. And the wildlife trade because People hunting and eating wildlife provides a perfect pathway for those viruses to get into our population. And if we're going to go out and hunt and eat wildlife in an unprecedented way on the planet now, we can expect more and more of these viruses. So let's look into ourselves and what we do to try and understand why this is happening.
Macmillan will no longer promote its Meat Free March fundraising campaign after complaints from the farming community. The cancer support charity faced accusations of jumping on the vegan bandwagon with its hashtag Meat Free March campaign, which urged supporters to download posters saying "So long to the sausage" and "Bye bye for now" burgers. Farmers on social media said it was a kick in the teeth after past fundraising efforts for the charity. Macmillan issued a statement which said, "We are sorry that it's caused upset, as this was never our intention, and I can confirm that we will not be continuing to actively promote this event." Hunters and shooters in Australia are stepping up to help bushfire victims. Our friends at the Beyond the Divide TV show have a bumper prize up for grabs in aid of the Australian Rural Disaster Fund. Rob Fickling got in touch to share the competition with our viewers. The first prize is kit worth more than £5,000 and a total prize pot of £9,000. Tickets are going for around £25 each, and one ticket could win kit including a ticker rifle, Swarovski scope, Zeiss binos and more. Bild magazine in Germany says it's uncovered the dark side of canned hunting. The magazine claims that professional hunters are offering to injure big cats in order to make them safe for hunting tourists to shoot. If true, this is not the kind of fair chase enshrined by hunting organisations such as Safari Club International. But it's not true, as Johan Bizu Denhout from HKK Safaris makes clear.
As a PH, it's unethical to shoot a leopard in the foot and then go follow it up and shoot it. I never said anything towards that, and he was just twisting words of a discussion that we had earlier about shooting backup shots. So he put totally wrong information in the newspaper, and it's offensive to me, and he's just trying to get his ratings, obviously. I'm just a professional hunter trying to make an honest living.
Meanwhile, a UK company has a new initiative to make ethical African adventures more affordable. Global Outdoors is organising a management hunt for December, but is allowing hunters to pay £50 a week towards it. Owner Sean Porter says, as a company, we're dedicated to making hunting abroad more affordable and more accessible to anyone who wants to try it. Germany has made it easier for farmers to kill wild wolves. A new law will help farmers better protect their livestock from Germany's rising wolf population. Livestock farmers now have the right to shoot wild wolves and wolf-dog hybrids if they're causing serious damage to animals, up to and including an entire wolf pack. Formerly, farmers were only allowed to shoot if the wolves threatened the farmer's livelihood. The decision also provides financial compensation for farmers and shepherds in the case of an attack. Local game meat will be served at all preschool and care homes in a Swedish city. Boden municipality has signed an agreement with game meat supplier Svantes Vilt & Bar to supply locally sourced and organic moose and reindeer meat for the next 2 years. These pictures are recipe suggestions from the website. Thanks to Per Helmseth for the story. It's now legal to hunt with a bow and arrow in Russia. President Vladimir Putin, an avid hunter, made the amendments to the federal law on approved weapons for hunting in August last year. The changes only came into effect last week. The number of hunters in the country has doubled in recent years, and the president is keen to further develop the hunting industry. Bows can now be sold without restrictions, but require registration with the National Guard within 2 weeks of purchase. PETA says the term pet is derogatory. President of the animal rights charity Ingrid Newkirk says she would use the word companion because using the word pet makes living things sound like a commodity or decoration. The group People for Ethical Treatment of Animals also wants owners to be renamed human carers or guardians. WWF Norway has launched a petition to include the seasons on UNESCO's World Heritage List. Traditionally, the list features physical objects, but rising temperatures mean Oslo has lost 18 days of winter over the last 70 years. Bergens and the WWF argue climate change is threatening many of the physical places on the list, and they want the seasons included, as they meet 9 out of the 10 required criteria. And finally, this sharp-shooting officer saved 2 deer, which had locked antlers in Canada. Fish and Wildlife Officer Scott Calwhite answered a call after a driver spotted 2 deer locked together in a field. Scott arrived at the scene, grabbed his 12-gauge shotgun, and with one shot separated the deer, saving the life of both animals. You are now to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts.